Let's read this real quick. Unto you is charged the great task of keeping the purity of time. Know that there is only one true timeline, though there are those who would have it otherwise. You must protect it. And that's why I always say that the one true timeline is our timeline. All these other timelines are fucking irrelevant. You want to know why? Because we're protecting the one true timeline. What is the one true timeline? The one true timeline is the timeline in which mortals make it occur. Timelines are like, I think of timelines like the butterfly effect. As long as we are alive and doing the thing and protecting the thing, we are the sacred timeline, right? These other timelines are butterfly effects that could occur if certain things would happen or had already happened or didn't happen. But here's the truth. None of that's real. None of it. None of that's real. The only timeline that's real and that matters is the one that we're in. That's it. And so in my mind, I don't see that Nozdormu and Aman'Thul are protecting some heavily defined timeline. No. In fact, it's quite the opposite. They're protecting the only timeline that potentially hasn't been dictated by some other force. That's what it is. It's the timeline in which we are existing and making it real. All else is just not true. Exactly, Mercarian. There is a true timeline, but it is the timeline in which we live. Let me clarify. The timeline didn't exist as the one true timeline, and then we got put into it. No, the timeline exists because we are making it. Does that make sense? We are generating that which is the true timeline. We generate it. Right? We are not bound into it. We make it real. That's what I think this is. And so with Aman'Thul, I see him as someone who looks upon this and says, okay, we better be non-intravenous as possible, which is interesting because then Aman'Thul is alleged to be ripping out old gods, which I'm not so sure is real. But look at this. What is Aman'Thul seeing? Who is in that if not us? Who is he seeing if not us, the champions? Pyro, I'm genuinely curious because I don't think I understand. If the others aren't real, how can beings from other timelines infiltrate ours? Because people in our timelines make it real. You must always recognize this. They didn't just come into our timeline from nowhere, from nothing. Beings in our timeline made that happen. So the only time, in my opinion, that alternate characters can come over through time is if we do something to make that happen. Some kind of mortal intervention. Some type of willing it into existence. Not, as I understand it, just some random happening. And then I ask you this. At what point do those alternate timeline characters become main timeline characters? If you come from an alternate timeline and you now exist in ours by the will of those that exist here, are you really from the alternate timeline anymore? Or are you part of the true timeline? I think you're part of the true timeline. You want to know why? Because somebody made it so. Someone made that happen. It was just a possibility before, but now it's real. Is Zal from an alternate timeline? Maybe. I think she's just very old. In other words, timelines don't naturally cross over. We have to actively do something to link the timelines together. This breaks my brain. How does that explain Murozond and the Infinites? Because Murozond is literally Nozdormu. You guys realize what we did in the timeline that we're in? We closed the loop that is Murozond, which was always the true timeline. Guys, this is time paradoxes are frustrating. They're annoying, but understand something. Alternate universes don't mean anything until we do something to bridge them to ours. We are in the true timeline. And these other timelines, if they exist independently, then those are perhaps simulative runs for alternate outcomes, but they're not the one that Azeroth is in. This is why I've always said the alternate timeline thing is fucking stupid. You want to know why? Because then why didn't the Legion just go to alternate Azeroth where there's alternately weaker characters and alternately win that world? You want to know why? Because it's not real. Because it doesn't fucking exist. Why does the Legion span all timelines? Well, that's because they have access to the Twisting Nether, first of all. But also in addition to that, it's because there is only one real actual timeline. Which is when we actually really kill Archimonde, he's actually really fucking dead. Because we made that real.
Me? Closing the loop, you say? Like a computer program looped
Yes,
smile.
essentially. Think of timelines like ideas. Yes, thank you for putting it that way. Does the Legion still span all timelines? I thought that was retcon with time rifts. No, the Legion, I don't believe that is the case. All the time rift thing is showing you is a future in which the Legion was successful. Not that they don't exist in multiple timelines. And frankly, they may not exist in multiple timelines because there may only really be one. The timeline Aman'Thul wanted was Nosdormu to become Murozond and to die. Chromie did change the time against the edicts of the timeline and the Titans, but we will see what the Titans will say about it when they come into expansions. Mercarian, you're missing the point. You're missing the point. You perceive it as though there was a set and defined timeline, and that Chromie broke it. No, 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 no. What I'm implying is that what Chromie did was always... How do I put this? Chromie's actions are part of the true timeline. Like, she's confirming the... It's like why when she shows up, she's like, is this future me or past me? I don't really know. And it's like, yeah, because there's no difference. What I'm trying to say is that what you guys are perceiving as this planned timeline isn't real. It can't be real. It can't be.
The WoW timeline
It can't
is a
be.
matrix. We, the player character, are Neo. We don't exist in the other timelines.
No, there is not. There's only what the Titans wanted and what we do. So, Pyro, you're telling me Kara's Dorma was able to teleport Garrosh to Old Draenor using Garrosh's memory? What? Bravo, thanks for the 15 months, bro. The WoW timeline is a matrix. We, the player character, are Neo. We don't exist in the other timelines. We individually, the player character, may not. But I'm pretty sure, don't you fight like a version of yourself? So is this also linked to the purpose of the first ones? You're saying that everything's predetermined? No. I'm saying nothing is. Sorry, I know this is confusing. Do you guys think every vision of the void is a real, like, alternate universe? Guys, do you, like, think about this. Think about talking about your own real life like this. Like, this fucking concept of, like, my alternate version in some other dimension of myself, I'm not a streamer, I'm a engineer. Except guess what? That's not real. Except that's not what's happening. We know that because we're here right now. So what is real? Real is what is happening, what is, right? Not what isn't. Not what hypothetically could be. Not what exists over there or could exist. No. What's real is right now. Does this mean that we went to Draenor past and did what we did? We made that world real in our timeline? More than likely, yes. Let me put it this way. To answer the question, are things predetermined? Yes. Sort of. The only thing that's predetermined is that God exists, God had children, and some of God's children have free will. And oftentimes the children that don't have free will antagonize those that do. And so in this case, what has happened is that we are the children of literal God, and we have the capacity for free will to make whatever that we hold in our hearts real. We have this capacity. And we're being oppressed essentially by these external forces that don't have free will. Okay? What I'm trying to say to you is that it is folly to believe that there is a predetermined timeline. That's not true. It isn't predetermined, but the real timeline in which we exist, in which Azeroth exists, must be protected. Someone with true wisdom of time would understand that. It's what Oracle Caesura says. Oracle Caesura, which is found in fucking Zereth Mortis. Okay, this is what she says. The cosmos has been shaped, but nothing is fated. The cosmos has been shaped, but nothing is fated. To me, what that means is that the cosmos has a structure, but there is no defined, determined end point. That's why we, with our free will, are so important. Because what we get involved with and what we make real is fate. It's not predestined. It's us grabbing fate by the horns and saying, this is what will be. Not because Norganon says so, or because Zoval says so, or because Amanthul says so. No. Fuck that. Just the same way with Illidan. I am my scars! Same fucking thing. The light will heal your scars, right? No. He doesn't want that. Because Illidan was born without the control. He was born with a predestined thing. And how does that happen? The only things in WoW that can be predestined are ones that are shaped and restricted, right? But free will doesn't allow for that. Free will doesn't allow for that shit. So is the idea like we're the ones writing the script? There is an intended script by those like Norganon, Zoval, maybe Amanthul, maybe Eonar, maybe Sargeras. They have an intention of their own script, but that's all they can do. They have to follow it. We have the free will to go off of the script and to say, fuck that. We're gonna improvise. We want this because that end ain't gonna cut it. That ain't cool. We're not chill with that. Fuck that. We refuse. And that's what free will is. That's what free will is. I just watched Bruce Almighty yesterday, and the first thing that Morgan Freeman says is that you can't fuck with free will. That's it. And Bruce says at one point, he says, "How can I make someone love me without affecting their free will?" And God says, "When you let me know, or when you find out, let me know. When you find out, let me know." I don't know the answer to that question either. How do I do it? And Bruce says, "Can I ask you a question?" And God says, "Yes, you can." That's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it, is that you can ask the question. You can ask the question. That's what free will is. The cosmos has been shaped, but nothing is fated. Nothing. We make the path.